Hello everyone and welcome back to Curly-n-yarny. Today we'll be weaving on my Inkle Loom, so let's go! And let me tell you, there will be a few mistakes during this video, but the beautiful part is that I will always find a way to fix them. So if you're into weaving, problem solving, or just watching a very stubborn weaver get through it all, well, stay tuned, you're in the right place. So today's project is on my Inkle Loom, of course, and I am weaving a band that will become a purse strap for my boyfriend's end. So for this project, I've used a 2 polyester yarn. Right now, I only have the 2 here. So I've used this color here, which is kind of like beige. We also have some navy blue or royal blue, and there's also black. That's in the living room right now, but I'll pick it up later. I'm still figuring things out with my Inkle Loom. Even though I've had it for a while now, I still consider myself to be quite the beginner. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on because there has been a little bit of learning experiences, not to say problems, with this warp. But one of the things I'm trying to try out the most in my learning journey is different type of yarns, because I think my first reflex was always to use A2 cotton, but today I'm trying polyester yarn, which is so synthetic, and just to see how it's going to work out for the weaving, but also how it's going to last over a long period of time. And it's a little bit why I'm gifting it to a family member. So my family members, they are receiving nice gifts, but they're also a little bit of my guinea pigs, if you want, because I'm trying different things with them and I am always awaiting their feedback. But before getting into the nitty-gritty and the problem solving I had to do and will continue to be doing, let's go look at the pattern a little bit. So for the pattern here, I drafted little flowers because this blue yarn is pretty dark. It's not contrasting enough with the black yarn that I have as a background yarn. So we don't see the flowers that much. At first I was a little bit disappointed in this, but at the same time, I like it too. I think it looks a little bit like stars, so I'm going to call this pattern the Twilight flowers. But just so you know, I think this flower pattern is kind of a common pattern for inkle weaving, but still I inspired myself from this book here, so the Weaver's Inkle Pattern Directory, and it is on page 22, so the single flowers, and I made them so that they're not all equal on the same line. Again, it doesn't show so much, maybe because my yarn is not contrasting and it's quite thin, but they are a little bit like there's one, yeah, they're like toop, 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 basically. And then for the weft, I am using the black yarn because my edges are black, my yarn is black, and so I find it nice that the edges kind of disappear inside of the warp. And if sometimes I would make a mistake or two in my selvages, it wouldn't show so much because it is dark and of course the same color. And here is the black yarn. So here's the 3 of them together. So in my latest Inkle Loom videos, a lot of you guys commented that my loom was very wobbly on the table, which is totally true. To be fair, I usually weave on my Inkle Loom while sitting in my lazy boy, so it is a bit more stable on my laps. So for the sake of filming a video, I think it'd be more interesting to film it on a table. So I'm moving here inside of my workshop, inside of my atelier, and one subscriber gave me a very good tip, which is to use this, which is kind of a rubber mat. We often find them like as a liner inside of the cupboard in the kitchen. I had this sheet laying around, so I'm going to use it on my table and see how it goes. Already I feel like it's going to be a game changer, so let's go. It's funny because I've been reviewing the clips I've already filmed, and on the camera it shows very well how here the peaks are a bit different than the rest of the project, and that's because I ran out of yarn on my shuttle, so I had to change yarn right here. So for 2 peaks, it's a little bit bulkier than the rest, and honestly, when I look at it this way, because it's so dark, it really doesn't show so much. It shows a little bit to the touch, but I feel like once it's worn, it won't really be that noticeable. But on the video it just shows so much. And so I think it's funny how sometimes the camera picks up things that the eye doesn't, and vice versa. But just so you know, it's not super ugly when I look at it from my angle. It's really from the camera angle. Let's get weaving. Oh yeah, game changer for the rubber mat. It's just perfect. Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for the person who suggested it. This changes everything. And I like when the solutions are cheap and often with stuff we already have at home, because weaving can get very expensive very quickly. So whenever I can find cheap hacks, I just love it. Awesome. And here I just want to do a quick note on the yarns I'm using today. So as I mentioned, those are 8-2 polyester yarn from Maurice Brassard, and I'm very lucky because I live about 1 hour away from their factory. So whenever I need new yarn, which is maybe too often or not often enough, I don't know, but it's very easy for me to just drive up there, go straight to the factory shop and get the yarn from the source. However, I know that this is not the case for most of my viewers, and most of my viewers, like 80% of you guys, are located in the United States. So shout out to everybody who watches my channel from everywhere in the world. I'm very grateful that you all do. But for the people, especially in the United States, so since you're the vast majority of my viewers, I usually provide a link to the Rolleries website in my videos where I use Maurice Brassard yarn, because they keep in stock pretty most of the yarns that Maurice Brassard produce. So that's a way that I find that can give you an easy access to the same yarns that I am using, and at the same time those are affiliate links. So if ever you wanted to make a purchase to this link, I would receive a small commission from it, which is always very appreciated. However, for today, I haven't found this yarn on their website, so I am not sure if they're holding it. Either I'm totally blind, I can't see it, or maybe they just don't have it in stock, which I can understand. I know that synthetic fibers are not always as liked or appreciated as natural fibers, so I couldn't see this yarn. So all of this to say that if ever you also wanted to give a try to synthetic yarns for different type of projects, and try Maurice Brassard yarn, I don't know where to refer you to. So if ever somebody here knows a place in the United States or everywhere in the world for that matter that hold this yarn, just let me know. You'll be helping probably other weavers out, so that's always cool. So now let's go back to weaving. All right, so it's now time to face the elephant in the room, which is this hanging peg here. So I need to come clean with what happened there. Again, I'm still consider myself to be quite a beginner when it comes to inkle loom weaving, or maybe because I was starting to feel too confident. I don't know which one of the two factors made this mistake happen, but when I was warping the loom, I had one thread that didn't follow the same path as the other. So I don't know how I did this and how I didn't even notice, but there is this one thread here that had a much shorter path, and it took me quite a while to realize it. So I was well into the few first inches of my weaving, and I wanted to advance the warp, but the warp wouldn't budge, and then I realized that this thread was having a smaller path, and it was just causing the whole thing to stay in this position and not advance. What I did is that I cut it, I attached it to that peg, and I let the peg hang for tension. So it's been working very well since, so I was able to weave at least all of this. However, this is getting dangerously close to this peg here, and I believe that once it's reached here, I won't be able to use it anymore. And I still have quite a long warp to go, so I still have all of this and this to weave, so I don't want it to end right now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to fix a new thread to the warp. I haven't done that on an inkle loom before, nor on a warp face fabric, so I'm just going to wing it with what I think will work. I'm going to do something similar than what I do with my other looms. So first what I did is that I have this leftover bobbin empty, and I've just rolled some of the black warp around it, and I did some, not really a knot, but this here. So this way the little thing is hanging, so it's not super heavy, but I think it's just heavy enough to give it a nice tension so that the thread will have a similar tension to the rest of the warp. But before I can add this new thread to the loom, I need to give it a bit more length. And in order to do so, I just unroll some of the thread I rolled onto the bobbin, and I make it past the little twist I did there. So I wiggle my way around. And now let's test if I have enough length. And this looks just perfect. And whenever I need more length in this thread, I will just have to redo those steps. So I'll use a pin like that. I'm just going to fix it to my project. So the thread I need to repair is the second to the selvage. So maybe that's why the mistake happened. I was probably tired of warping all of this when this happened. And I'm just going to fix it in a figure 8. I'm so sorry, it's a black warp and a black thread. It doesn't show so much. That will be good. And I will just let it hang. Oh, mistake. This is a unheddle. The thread here is this thread here, so it needs to go follow the same path. So let me do it again. So let's take it off. And here it needs to go inside here. Actually, no. It is hanging from far below, so I'm going to weave a few picks just to set it in, and then I'm going to cut the other one. I think my pin is a bit too big. I need to be very careful or else I hurt my fingers. I should have put it that way. Hindsight is 2020. Next time the pointy face will be facing the other way around and not sticking out so much. So my new thread has been secured. First of all, it's secured with the pin, but there's a few picks woven in. For the few picks I wove it, this old thread was still on the loom, so it looks a little bit like if the two threads, this warp thread was doubled. And now I think I'm just going to cut it. So that's the old thread. So I'm going to leave a bit of a tail, and I'm just going to trim all of those tail once the project is off the loom. So now I have this new thread secure, and I should be good to go for the rest of the warp. Oopsie. I forgot to talk about those. So one of my selvage thread is super loose. I've been using this to put weight on it and to help with the weaving. So far, that's quite an easy and good fix. So when I advance the warp, however, I need to readjust their position, otherwise they don't do their job anymore. So this is the new yarn I put in. This is the old yarn. So they overlap over here. For few picks, it looks a little bit bulkier, but it's very subtle. Now we're close up, so it looks worse. But if I put this into perspective, it's not worse than my wonky selvages, so that's pretty good. The pin's not holding anything in place anymore, and it's still holding strong, so that should be good. All right, so I've got only this much width left. It's almost done. Let's go. So this is it. We're reaching the end. So let me cut this off the loom and get rid of all my hanging stuff. I don't know how to gracefully do this. As you might notice, I'm cutting everything very close to the woven piece. That's because of the way I'm going to finish it. Alright, so let me pause the video right here because I need to put up a warning. The next few scenes you're about to see will involve a living flame, but know that I am a fully professional person and this should only be done under the supervision of an adult or a professional like myself. So let's go. One of the advantages of working with a synthetic yarn is that it basically is plastic and it can melt. So in order to avoid fraying, I'm just going to burn the beginning and the end of my band. It really doesn't need to be that much of a heat nor that much of a flame for it to just melt down. There we go. So the next step is to wet finish this. I think it's good to always wet finish the handwoven projects, no matter what they are. So I don't think there's any harm in doing this. This is polyester. I'm not scared of anything wrong happening to it. Maybe it's my confidence talking again, but I'm just going to pour some water on it, just a little tiny bit of soap, shake it, let it soak over a few hours, let it dry, and that will be it. Tomorrow we'll be probably able to start the sewing. So now that it is all wet finished, I can come in and cut all of the bits of yarn that are hanging out. So this is where I had to do my changes of yarn, and honestly, it doesn't really feel like it's any bulkier over there. It's slightly, just because I know. So again, our secret. And voila. So now the next thing that we are going to do is that we are going to install the hardware. And for today, what I have on hand is I have this because I want to make this strap adjustable. So I need this rectangle thing. And I also have two hooks like that so that the strap will be not only adjustable but will be movable. So it could go onto different bags. I was a bit confused about how to install it at first, and I may or may not have had to watch a few YouTube videos on how to do it. So let's go. Oh yeah, we got it. There we go. So the first step is to insert the strap inside of the hardware, and I am going to fold the end because this will be sewn. I'm gonna try, I've done this line, and I'm going to try to do a little line here too and here so that it is kind of like tucked in on all angles. Yeah, now this looks pretty strong to me. Pretty invisible too, so that's cool. So my strap is super long, hence the fact that I want it to be adjustable. So here I have reached the other end. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it in, and I need to bring that back to that here. I go back to this here, I make it go over and under, then I pull. And now this should make it all such a big strap, I can't get it all on the camera. But this should now make it all adjustable. So there's only one thing left to do, and it is to install the last hook. And it's not that tricky, it's just that you really need to be mindful of the sewing line. So I need to make sure that I have a right side, which will be this side, and that I have also the other side. So I took my strap and I fold it, and I have quite a long length here because I know I have enough strap length to do it, but also because I want to do an X shape, because I want this to be very, very strong. I have a feeling that since this is the part that's holding the bag, I think it's going to be a bit more under pressure. So by doing this, I feel like it's gonna be extra strong. And voila, we got it. So this is it. We have our adjustable strap, and it matches my outfit today. Thing is, I don't really have a bag to try it on, but I can still try it on like if I was Miss Canada. So wow, it is really comfortable. So that's like the shorter version. I could also just put it a little bit longer by adjusting the strap this way, and then someone could wear it just like that. Oh, that's pretty cool. How far away does it get? Let's see. I put it to the max, to the maximum. The maximum, this would look a little bit like this. So kind of low, but I like medium size. For somebody that's very tall, that could actually be a nice length. And if I put it like this way, then it works very well. Yeah, I'm very satisfied. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. See you very soon in the next one. Thank you and bye-bye.